Hey, Third Stall Garage, welcome back. Today's project is a little bit different. Typically, I'm over in the garage over there working on a 66 Mustang convertible. Today, I'm getting this girl ready for a road trip this summer. It's a 1960 Mallard Duckling vintage camper. It's short, about a 10-12 foot box. And I discovered some water problems in the front. So stay tuned, learn what I learned, how I went about fixing it, and how you can do it too. Thanks for following along. So we bought this camper about a year ago or so, and we knew from the previous owner that there had been some water damage in the front. And there's a new panel on the inside, a wood panel, which made me suspect, but the price was right, and we love everything else about it, and I don't have any regrets. But we're getting ready for a few thousand-mile road trip this summer. And I noticed one day, and they said they had water leaks around the front window only when they were driving in the rain. And like, okay, we'll watch it and maybe I'll dig into it someday. One day I happened to lean my hand against the front of this, and as you can see, the whole wall wiggled. And it was pretty firm up here. That wiggles a touch, but the bottom, I mean, it's just floating in the breeze. So I knew before we went on our long trip this summer that I needed to do something about it. That also explained to me why it was probably only leaking when they were driving in the rain, because this thing would wobble in the wind, and that would cause cracks and water to get in. So I started last night deconstructing everything. Started with the molding on the side over here. This goes around the top and edge of the trailer, and this is pretty, I mean, most of these old vintage trailers were constructed in very similar ways. So you've got wood framing on the inside with a little bit of fiberglass insulation, and then behind this fiberglass is just your inside wall panel. It's just like a studded wall in a house. So you've got your wood panel, a stud, and then the aluminum sheeting would go on the outside. So the way this is built is they did the side sheeting first, wrapped it around, nailed it to the stud, and the front sheeting went over top, got nailed down, and then this piece of J-trim, aluminum J-trim, got put down with butyl tape. Butyl tape, if you're ever working on a trailer, please use butyl tape. Don't use silicone caulk or caulk of any sort. Butyl tape is amazing. It's sticky, it's gray, it's almost like a putty clay, comes in a flat roll, never gets hard, seals up great. So they put butyl tape behind here and then screw it in. Now the screws they used were a clutch type head. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but requires a clutch type bit. And mine is a 5/32, which I think is a pretty common size for these. So you just got to very carefully pull this J channel up. You're going to bend it, slowly flex away. You'll be able to bend it back and explore what's behind. So I'm to the point now where I'm getting closer to figuring out where the problem ends and where I can start building back from, which is not that different from my project on the 66, kind of excavating down to where I have some firm foundation and start building back. So I'm gonna keep excavating here, digging down through it, and then start making a game plan to reassemble it, and I'll update you on the way. So let me show you the inside of the trailer. If you have a trailer like this and you're worried about water damage, it's a lot of work, but it's very fixable. A quick tour. Front little dinette. Duckling was one of the smallest of the Mallard campers. Upper cabinets, propane lamp. I'd installed a fantastic fan in it. There's a little stovetop burner. Added a little dorm fridge. Trick for you. Go online at Amazon and buy one of the cheap digital thermometers. Run your outdoor sensor inside the fridge, and that way when you're camping, your digital will, I took the batteries out so there's no readout now. Your digital readout will show you exactly what the inside temperature of your fridge is. You know, if you're water is spoiling, or your food's spoiling, yeah, your water. I installed some LED lights in it, 2 deep cycle marine batteries with a little digital readout to show me their voltage, how much current I'm drawing. You can see my LED lights draw 0.58 of an amp. Just helps you monitor your usage, and a little sleeping area in the back. But in the front here, you can see that there are some screws installed, Phillips screws, that the previous owner used to just put a panel over top of the water damage. And I may end up pulling that out. I'm not going to right now because it's kind of the only thing giving me reference. It's about all that's left. And so I want to start reframing the outside before I pull that out and can seal it up well from, So I will keep you updated as I go. So I've made some progress on the driver's side here. You can see this is the original interior paneling. Mine had a second layer that was placed on the inside. So this layer here is what is crumbling here. This is the outside sheet metal, the aluminum metal. I've detached that. It was wrapped around here, held in with nails, pulled the nails out, bent it out. So it's loose. Now I've taken out all of the rotten wood down to a point where I've got some fairly solid wood, and then it's fairly solid on the bottom here. So my plan is I will piece in a solid piece of wood here, screw it through there fairly well, maybe even put some, sorry, we're off the camera, maybe even put some straps across the top or across the bottom. Probably not, because this aluminum wrap will kind of hold that securely. And then I will start off of this building a new frame all the way across. Now, let me back up a second. So I've got this decent wood exposed here. So I will frame in kind of a vertical stud here and then start running horizontal purlins across the side. Now originally the trailer had one here, one in the middle, and that was it. They were built to be light, they were built to be inexpensive. I don't know back in the 60s if they ever anticipated these would be collectible and people would restore them. I'm not as worried about that. If I add a few extra boards, so be it. I may actually, instead of filling this with insulation, just fill this whole board in here. Same on the other side. And then, who knows? I'll probably use as many boards as I have and just make sure it's nice and solid. So next, I will start deconstructing on this side as well. You can see right in the side here, I've got all kinds of rot that needs to come out. So next I'll start bending this aluminum out, pulling all those trim nails out. Probably the part of this that you need to be slow and methodical on is just pulling out all these tiny little nails and making sure you don't step on them. So I'll start working on that next and show you the update. One of the challenges is to figure out where to stop. So here you can see all of my rusty nails, which also tell you the depth of material that I took out. Obviously this wood, by the way, I'm wearing gloves because I was dealing with this fiberglass insulation and I just hate being itchy. This wood here, fairly solid, medium solid, but at some point you got to decide when is far enough. Down on the bottom here, there's a curved piece of plywood that overall is in pretty decent, structurally strong. Yeah, it's a little bit of dry rot on the outside. Excuse me. Next, I'm going to start pulling these nails out. I found that the easiest way is to just take the nail, wiggle it a little bit, and it breaks off. I'm not sure that was on camera. So I found the easiest way is to take the nail, grab it with the channel locks or vice grips, bend it back and forth a little bit, and the nail just breaks off. You can throw it in the trash. So you don't need to watch me do that. It's boring enough doing it myself. But next I'll kind of clean this up, and then I'll be to the point where I can frame this side as well. My thoughts on how far to go, it's up to you. If I were restoring this to be in perfect like new condition, it probably would pull the skins all the way off the trailer and put all new skins on and reframe it and do kind of a frame off restoration. That's not the purpose of this trailer. This is a trailer for us to enjoy. The majority of the time it's stored inside a shed. So really the only time it gets wet is when we're driving down the road or camping, which is only a couple weeks a year. So I'm going for good, not perfect, structurally strong and safe. And so it's up to you to decide how far you want to go. I feel like I'm going far enough that it'll be good and solid when I'm done. I'm not looking for a perfect restoration. So I'm going to keep going, pull those nails out, clean it up, and then start making a plan for framing. Okay, so I think I am done with taking it apart. I'm about ready to put the first board in. So if you look up, there was a header board that went across the top. It's right here. That board went right up there, and being able to look upward in it, everything is completely dry above it. So that makes me confident to kind of start the reconstruction. My plan, here's the first board that's going in. It's just a 1/2 inch spacer that will attach to the stud behind it. And then I'm gonna get some 2x4s and rip them down to 7/8 of an inch thick and run some 2x4s vertically and then a bunch of them horizontally. And then I should be able to reconstruct the framework out of that. I'm gonna do some exploring at Menards or Lowe's to figure out what's the best way to kind of brace and join them together. I'm wondering if there's a way similar to like how trusses are attached with those backing plates. So I'll take a look at that and update you once I get my shopping list done and start reconstructing it. Also working on cleaning all of the silicone and butyl off with the help of my lovely assistant. Thank you. I love you, hon. Love you. Stay tuned for more. All right, we're making progress. Here is a board about ready to go in. So I debated about using pressure treated wood for this. I figured, if it's gonna, sorry, I'm off camera. If it ever leaks again, the pressure treated wood might last longer. And the more I thought about it, the more concerned I got about putting moisture into the wall as the pressure treated wood cures. And I know that there's a worry of it having some funky interactions with screws. A little bit of research confirmed that for me, that it doesn't interact well with aluminum. So I'm going with non-treated wood. My walls are about 7/8 of an inch thick. The cavity is, or the studs were. So I'm just taking a 2x4, ripping it down to 7/8 of an inch on my table saw. Originally, this stud here was only about 1 inch wide. And I just left it the full 3.5 inch. I feel like that's gonna give me a good backing from the front for the paneling to attach to. And I'll have a little less insulation, but I'm not worried about the heat loss. We don't do a whole lot of winter camping anyway, so I'm worried more about strength. So first board going in, actually it's the second board, the first one's in on the other side. I'm just using a 2.5 inch long treated, like a triple coated deck screw with a square drive. And I like how the head sunk in quite a ways, and it pulled nice and tight. That makes me confident that I've got some, good meat behind it that I'm attaching it to. I haven't bought my horizontal purlins yet. I need to get those from Menards or Lowe's yet. And then I'll start running those across. But but it's good to start seeing solid wood going back in. I'll update you in a little bit once I get some more done. So I was able to pick up the wood from Menards, and I have all of the framing back in and completed. I feel really good about it. There is one horizontal purlin that runs along the bottom, another one in the middle, right below the window, and I put a third new one in on top above the window. I did the side pieces a little bit differently than original. I cut a slot there and a slot on the bottom, and I made sure on the top that these pieces run all the way in, so they're attached securely to the passenger side wall. So that way this piece is tied in there and there on both sides. This is tied in both sides, and the same on the top. And then my vertical piece here and here, I ran a lot wider. Like I mentioned in the previous section, this is a 2x4 width, which left me with a small cavity in the middle. I have a screw on the back side holding a piece of paneling there. So I thought instead of just filling that in with insulation, I would just put a piece of wood in there. And then you can see I bought some tie-in plates because I wasn't quite sure how to securely attach this piece to here. I could toenail it, you know, on these two sides. Because this is so long, I can't really run a screw up. This gives me a nice secure plate. It's kind of like those truss plates. I just used a 1 1/4 inch construction screw. It's a number 8 by 1 1/4 inch. That allows it to go in quite a ways and then not poke through the back side. And then you can see that the screw actually tightened up enough that it kind of pulled in and countersunk itself in. So I think that as the aluminum comes down, it will just lay across the top of it without any problems. I feel good about how strong this is and how it turned out. Next, I need to start cleaning up all of the leftover silicone and butyl tape on the edges. This is what I plan on using for that Goof Off Pro Strength Remover. Also, Goo Gone makes a similar product that I plan on trying as well. So I will get that cleaned up, and then I will start wrapping these pieces around and nailing them down to the framing. And then I can start putting the skin back on. The window will be the last piece. I've rebuilt the window with new glass, new sealant, new gaskets, and that will either be at the end of this video or it will be a separate video as well. Hi, last video I was in a t-shirt, and it's gotten a little chillier tonight. It's a nice brisk 40-degree day. All right, so I'm gonna start bending these over. I just wanna wrap them around and tuck them as tight as they can. And then I'm gonna use a finished trim nail. I had some leftover ones from fascia project. These are stainless, but I think any small trim nail would work. The ones that were in there before were definitely steel and rusted, but it lasted 60 years, so what the heck, these will last forever. So I'm just taking a rubber mallet. You could probably use your hand or a wrench and just kind of wrapping it around as tightly as I can. There's already a hole there from the previous nail. I'm going to put it in on a slight angle towards the inside of the trailer so it kind of pulls the aluminum tight as we go. That's it. Pretty simple. About 12 more to go here and 12 more on that side, and this part will be wrapped up. It's fun to see it come back together and feel nice and solid. Doesn't wobble much, and it'll be a lot more secure once the window gets in too. Saturday morning, I'm back outside working on the trailer. You can see that I have this edge wrapped all the way around, which I showed in the last segment. I've started putting some of the panels back in. This piece is back in now, as well as you can see the piece on the other side. as you assemble your pieces together, get these surfaces. I haven't cleaned them yet. They were clean on the underside. Get them as clean as you can. Scuff them up a little bit. The important thing is, this is my opinion, but I know a lot of people hold it. Use butyl. Please don't use silicone. What you want when you're done is an aluminum kind of skin all the way around your trailer where every joint is sealed off by butyl tape and then kind of mechanically held together with screws. That's going to be your best bet for a watertight joint. If you are using silicone or don't have butyl, you're going to be prone to leaks. So I did not put butyl between the skin and the board here because I'll have butyl tape between the skin and the window frame, which goes around here. I have butyl tape between this skin and this skin. You can see it right there. I will also put butyl tape after I clean it between this outside skin and this aluminum trim here. That will just give me one extra layer, and I'll probably overlap it a bit so that it covers both of these joints. Where this piece slides into this piece, there is a groove. You can see it on the bottom here. The next piece will slide in right there in that joint. That doesn't need any silicone or butyl. Gravity, the water will just flow downward with gravity there. I probably should put insulation in here if I was worried about the warmth of the trailer. It's not a large concern for me, so I'm not sure what I'm gonna do yet there or not. So I'm getting pretty close. I will work on cleaning up these joints, these surfaces here where there's joints, and start working on my large piece that covers the bottom. Assemble that. I did a complete rebuild on the window with new glass, new 3M adhesive, cleaned it all up, and then got window gasket or glazing from vintagetrailergasket.com. The guy there is amazing, and I will probably put that in another video and link it at the end of this. So Saturday, I hope to wrap this project up today. I'll let you know how it ends up. And this is pretty much a wrap on the rebuild of the front of the 1960 Mallard Duckling camper, the rebuild of the hair window, HEHR, the installation of that. Nice and solid. I am gonna bet a mortgage payment that it's nice and watertight and ready for the road this summer. Let me flip the camera around and I'll give you a close-up of what it ended up looking like and how I installed the window. So the installation of the window went pretty smoothly. I put a piece of 1-inch butyl tape down the side all the way around. On the top, when you run the butyl tape, run it all the way across and then butt the bottom one up against it. That way, if there happens to be a small crack in the butyl tape, it's not running vertically where water can run down. Then run the vertical butyl tape this way past the bottom, and then butt the bottom piece into it. And then you'll simply press the window in, insert your screws, and you'll see the extra butyl tape kind of squish out. And then I cut off the extra. I'm waiting for my window gaskets to come in. I've got a sample right here. Sorry. I'll probably edit that out. So I got these from vintagewindowgaskets.com. The guy there is fantastic. I sent him a little picture of what I had before. I said, I think it's this Hair 17 model. He's like, I agree. Asked for a free sample. He mailed me this. It snaps right in like so. And I have a piece on order. I'll run that up to the corners, miter it on a 45, and then I will have a finished looking window. Feel really good about how this is all sealed together and strong and solid again. It came together nice on the inside. I have a separate window video on the rebuilding of the window where I took the glass out, resealed it in, cleaned it, ordered the gasket material. And you can, I'll link that one at the end of this. You can find it in the Third Stall channel as well. Thanks for following along. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Click subscribe, hit the bell notification, and have a great day.